Today I'm going to talk to you, my talk is entitled Beyond Intelligence, and it's about human-centered AI for these impactful collaborations that we make. The future of artificial intelligence is agent-based. And if you've been paying attention to AI news, then you've undoubtedly heard this said before. And if you haven't, I'm sure you will in the coming year. We are likely at the dawn of an agent-based future that promises artificial intelligence agents that are able to not just complete the tasks we ask them to do, but collaborate. In fact, they often deliberate, and they can change alongside us. The promise of such a system is one where our human interests are captured and one where we are able to achieve the objectives that we set. But to do this, we have to design this in a human-centered way. But what does that mean for you, for me, or for how we think about things on a daily basis? So I'll invite you to imagine you're in a dense forest. On a path, in front of you, a fork in the road. You can't see too far ahead, but just in front of that, there's another fork, and in front of that one, a fork in front of it, and on and on. You can tell that there are multiple ways to get from where you are to where you want to be. And each decision that you make has consequences. The path ahead will either be easier or more difficult, and the nature of the challenges you face along the way will be determined there. So, how do you decide which way to go? It turns out, as human beings, despite our intelligence, we're not great at making these kinds of decisions, especially in the absence of information. You see, unlike the situation where you have a linear challenge, you kind of start at A and you make your way to B in this very smooth fashion, our process with complex problems tends to look a lot more like this squiggly path, where you have a lot of iteration, second-guessing your questions, reconsidering what there is, and there's value in that process. Those clarifying iterations are important in helping us determine what we want, just as much as how it is we will get there. And herein lies the promise of agent-based AI. The idea that artificial intelligence can walk with us through this process and allow us to find any one of these options in a more efficient manner. And so we'll take a second just to understand what agent-based AI is and how it works, before we get into how that's used in a human-centered way. Agents or agentic workflows are systems where autonomous entities are empowered to achieve specific tasks using interactions and decision-making. And this often happens without human supervision. Taking a quick look at 4 design patterns that exist currently, we're looking at reflection, tool access, planning, and multi-agent collaboration. And looking at the first 2, it's easy to see how an agent that's empowered with the ability to reflect on its responses can give you something that's more meaningful, as long as it's able to reflect before it shows you that. This agent gets even more capable when you give it access to tools, the ability to search the web for more correct answers, to search an existing document base, to edit a spreadsheet and do that effectively. All these tools are available now and useful. Taking a step a bit more into the future, the ability for an agent to plan its tasks out, break a more complex sequence into a simple set of tasks, and simply walk through, troubleshooting when it runs into issues, is one that allows for really powerful agents. And ultimately, if they can collaborate with other agents as well, this power is multiplied exponentially. So how do we apply this in human-centered ways? My 3 approaches are based on some experience that I have, focused on supporting decision-making, focused on reducing friction in larger systems, and lastly, in the learning. Looking first at how we support decision-making systems. I'd like to take you back for a second, if I can control that appropriately. I'd like to take you back for a second to our dense forest and on the path. If I told you that I could provide you with information based on your interests on which paths would be more viable to you, how would that make you feel? Would that make your decision process easier or more effective? I know certainly for me it would, and it turns out that this is truly the case. We're already seeing places where AI has been able to teach people how to make decisions in the face of uncertainty and help them to make better decisions the higher the uncertainty is. If we center these systems around human motivations and desires when we're building them, we can create systems that respect the agency of human beings and ultimately empower us to achieve the objectives that we seek. Moving on to overcoming system friction. When we talk about friction, beyond navigating slides, it tends to reference larger complex public systems, right? You think of healthcare systems where there's so many forms and paths to go through, so many things to navigate and people to interact with. These systems can be complicated. But ultimately, the research shows that AI is able to help us navigate these systems more effectively. The responsible AI conversation here centers around explainability. The idea that you can explain the decisions the AI makes, but the human-centered perspectives pushes this a step further and says that it's not enough to explain the decision you made, you have to allow the human into the loop to help affect the decision that ultimately is made. In fact, taking that even a step further, AI should be able to help you to contest the decisions that itself has made, help you navigate that system in a way that is contextually appropriate for you and the data that you have. Moving lastly to the learning case, in my work with Professors Larry Susskind, Samuel Dinar, there we go, and Ololade Olale at MIT, we're focusing on teaching multi-stakeholder negotiations to students at MIT. These students are not seeking to replace the in-person negotiating perspective. Instead, they are negotiating in person with the support of agent-based artificial intelligence. They have access to a preparation bot that helps them prepare in advance of a negotiation, backtable bots that assist them immediately around and sometimes even during the negotiation, and a debrief bot afterwards that helps them analyze their progress. We are seeing immense amounts of progress in both our capabilities as the people leading this course and the interest of the students who are interacting with this sometimes for 3 hours on end. The value there is clear. But all of this only happens with this duality of trust and caution. These must be systems that we trust, but ultimately that trust is one that is earned. It is earned repeatedly as well in the way that we manage these systems as we establish this new era of agent-based AI. And so, the journey toward human-centered AI must address the biases that exist currently and the biases that will exist as a result of the actions we are currently taking. Furthermore, it must be a system that augments our capabilities, looking instead to have an iterative and recursive approach, rather than the zero-shot approach that assumes that it can go from A to B without making a mistake. These systems have to be our collaborators. That is essential to how we work. They must engage us in a dialogue to enhance our understanding, challenge our assumptions, and ultimately enrich our perspectives and our decision-making process along the way. We carry a responsibility with us to ensure that our advancements in AI are preserving the things that we value most in our humanity, and that we have an unwavering commitment to enhancing the human experience. And so, if this has at all appealed to you, I encourage you to reach out and connect and join the many people, much like myself, who are working on human-centered artificial intelligence towards the good of everyone. Thank you.